These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. This episode of the Six Ranch Podcast is brought to you by Defend Security Cameras. Years back, I was taking back roads to get through the mountains, and I stopped in a small place that sort of looked like a town, kind of didn't, called Pondosa, Oregon. And there was a store there that had an open sign. When I walked inside, it felt more like somebody's house than a store, but the folks inside said, "Come on in," and they had a little refrigerator and some canned goods and stuff in the back, and I went back and got a drink. And I was looking on the wall at some shadow boxes that had some World War II medals in there. And older gentleman in the store said, "Those are mine." And talked with him for a minute and found out that he was a World War II veteran. And I thanked him for his service and went on about my way. And later on, I thought, man, I wish I had my stuff so that I could do a podcast with him. This is 5 years ago. And I've been living and thinking since that time that I'd missed my opportunity. But on the way back from another trip, I decided to take those same back roads, and that store still had an open sign on it. And I went in with a bit of shame in my heart, thinking that there's no way that this man was still alive. And I didn't see him in there. Went to the back and went to that old fridge, and the gal said, "There's some personal stuff in there. Don't worry about that. We just had a birthday party for my dad." And I said, "Was your dad in World War II?" And she said, "Yes, he was. He's sitting out there in the living room right now watching a movie." And I went out and asked him if I could record a quick podcast, which he didn't know what a podcast was, but he said that he was up for it. And he had just had his 103rd birthday. So I sat down and asked him a few questions about his service in World War II, about what it's like to turn 103 and the life that he's lived. So in this episode, the recorder that I used wasn't great. I hope you'll understand that the audio isn't perfect, but this is one of the last living World War II veterans in our country. And it's worth listening to. We have an incredible debt of gratitude for the men who were drafted, for the men who volunteered to go fight in that war. And the fact that he lived through that and then lived to be 103 years old in this small remnants of what was once a small logging community that turned out to be pretty darn close to the center of our country, as it turns out. Yeah, very, very cool. So hope everybody's doing well. Hope you enjoy this episode. This one's for you, and more than anything, this one is for Sergeant Robert Bennett, who's just quite a man.
I was in the Air Corps, First Marine Air Wing.
The 1st Marine Air Wing.
Radio operator.
And how old were you when you joined?
I just turned, 20, I just turned 21, I think.
Just turned 21.
Yeah, I was actually drafted.
Okay.
I was working up in Portland, and my wife at that time, we just married just before I went in, because I knew I was going to get drafted. We were both working in Portland. I was working longshoring, and she was working in an aircraft factory. And in Portland when I got drafted. I knew I was going to go in sooner or later, so we went and got married in first part of December of 20. I think it was 21st. I think it was.
December 21st.
Yeah, of 40. What? 40.
41 or 42?
42, yeah, just turned 42. And I was drafted, and then I was only just went through physical exam, and in that I'd working at a longshoring in Portland. They said you're in such good condition. He says you can take your choice of whatever service you want to go into. So I chose the Marine Corps. Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's the best choice.
But anyway, so anyway, they shipped me down to San Diego. Went through boot camp down in San Diego, Marine base in San Diego, and then I signed up for radio school, and they sent me to Texas A&M College, Texas, and I spent all summer in there learning radio, CW and theory and all, everything. And actually, I did pretty good there. We were there all that summer. We were barracks on the Texas A&M College campus in the barracks there. And anyway, I graduated out of school there, first in my class, and I made corporal, and the rest of them made PFC out of the class on that.
So you were an NCO right out of school?
Yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed radio work, and it was really pleasant work, Not so much as I did really spent quite a bit of time overseas. I went through radio training school. It took all summer, one summer, there at Texas A&M, and then we graduated. Well, they shipped me down to Oakland, California, to stand by for a ship to go overseas. And we were going to meet a convoy, but they missed it. So we were on, I don't know if you know the ship, but in Portland, they were in the shipyards. They were building the troop ships. They're called. Let's see. I don't know what. Anyway, they were troop ships for transporting goods and troops overseas.
How many troops would be on a ship?
Oh, golly, probably 50 or 60 or more.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was, the ships were, Liberty ship was pretty small. It was a troop carrier, but it was big. And we actually, when I graduated out of Texas A&M, I was the head of my class. I was awarded a corporal instead of the PFC. The rest of them got PFC, and they made me corporal out of there. So.
And you just turned 103 years old?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Did you?
Well, there's not. There's very few of us old Army World War II veterans left anymore. We're getting kind of old.
Do you have any friends still alive who you served with?
No, not that I know of. It could be, but I don't keep track of anybody.
When you got on that ship and deployed, did you stop and fight on any of the islands? Where did you go?
Actually, we were it was a Liberty ship. They were building these troop carriers down in Portland, called Liberty ships. They were a pretty small ship, but they were just for transporting goods and troops overseas. And we were supposed to meet a convoy. We left out of San Francisco there and sailed out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge and all by ourselves. We were supposed to meet a convoy, but they didn't meet up with anybody, so we were all by ourselves, zigzagging across the ocean for about 26 days. It took us down to South Pacific and ended up at Espiritu Santos down there in the Solomon Islands.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were there for a couple of days while they were getting ready, and then we boarded a landing craft, and we were going to invade we did actually, little island just off of Rabaul. Rabaul was a Japanese stronghold on New Guinea, and there was this little island just off of Rabaul about, maybe 15, 20 miles off the coast of Rabaul, called Emaru. And we landed in there, and they had been occupied Japanese, but they had vacated it. So we didn't have any opposition on landing.
Well, that's great news.
Yeah, I'll say. It was all jungle. They cleared a place and created a landing strip for aircraft landing there and put an air base in there. And I was radio operator quite on that island for, probably 8-10 months, just, on there. And I was in contact with what they call coast watchers over there in New Guinea. Rabaul was a Japanese stronghold, and it's on the coast of Guinea, a big city there. And anyway, on this New Guinea, they had what they called coast watchers. They were actually, I think, Australian personnel, but they were in contact with me by a radio, CW. And they'd send information about Japanese strong fortifications along the road, along the coastline. And then we'd send airstrikes against them, and Navy put in a PT boat base there. And they had PT boat strikes against them too along the coastline there. So that was, I wasn't in any hand-to-hand combat, but we did land a couple of, like this island we were on called Emaru, and it was just off of, probably maybe 15 or 20 miles off the coast of Rabaul. And that Rabaul was a big stronghold for Japanese. So.
Did you fire a shot at all during the war?
I never did get in actual combat. I didn't.
That's good.
Yeah, but we were carried the old standard rifle was the old M1 rifle in the military,
it's a good gun,
especially in the Marine Corps. It had a cartridge case that you slipped into the receiver, held 8 shells. Yeah.
Were you a good shot?
No. Well, I mean, I went through in training down in San Diego at the Marine base there. They sent us out to firing range, and we were there. I had an expert marksman medal for that.
What are these medals I see on your uniform over here?
Yeah, that one. Well, my daughter here decided she'd go to. She found that in some place I don't know, and she thought maybe I'd enjoy having it.
Those are replicas. Some of his ribbons and medals and stuff.
Yeah.
Is a full set, I think, is in there in a display case.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a plaque in there with my Marine Corps. Well, they had bracelets for ID.
Yep.
And dog tags. And so I got that was in there. I saved them and I put them in a plaque there, and my medals and my ID there. So I've got a little.
When you were on that island, did you ever get letters from home or any news?
Oh yeah, we got letters quite a bit, and they had airmail, and we had an air base there, so, and we got letters quite a bit. Yeah.
What kind of things did your wife write to you?
Well, okay, it was almost perfect. She was pregnant when I left San Francisco, and she had my first child was born when I was overseas, and that was in let's see, golly, I can't remember what year it was. Barbara Report. She's over 80 now. She lives in Medford. My oldest daughter, she lives in Medford. She was born overseas. Yeah.
And I stopped by here once 4 or 5 years ago. It was the first time I met you, and I've been meaning to to get back over and talk with you and record a conversation. I'm sure glad that you're here and you're up for it.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Pondosa, Oregon.
Well, okay, now this was an old mill town, and it ran from early, I don't know, years till 1958, and it closed down in 58, and then at 59, they caught what I guess the salvage scrap metal up here or something. They caught a fire, burned everything. All the mill proper was all burned up. This was the boarding hotel for the single men that worked in the mill. And there's 12 bedrooms upstairs, and I was 2 men to a room. And there was single men. And they built homes for the families out here. It was a big operation. And it ran until 1958. And then it closed up in 58. It was called the Pondosa Lumber Company. And it ran until 1958, then it closed up. And we were living in Eugene. My wife's brother was an ex-Navy serviceman. And he saw this advertised in the Eugene Register Guard in early 1960 as no mill town for sale in Eastern Oregon. And he came over here and he acquired the property back in, I can't remember what year it was, but it was early 60s. And he wasn't married, he didn't have any family. He lived here by himself, and there was a big sawdust pile up here, and he was bagging up the sawdust and selling it around. And anyway, he caught a serious illness and passed away in early 1960s sometime. What was that, Jim?
1981. 81.
Oh,
1980. Okay.
Yeah, down 68. So 80.
So you got to live here for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he passed away, and my wife was his only heir, so the property left was her. So I was working, I was a supervisor in charge of shipping and finishing at Georgia Pacific in Springfield. And so when he passed away, why, he didn't have any family. So my wife was his only heir, so the property fell to her. So I quit my job at GP and moved over here back in 80 something, I can't remember.
And tell me about it being the center of the 50 United States.
Yeah, well, that happened in 1958. Alaska and Hawaii joined the Union in 1958. And so that they had a National Geographic Society and who all made an effort to find out what was the central point of all distance from the United States after Alaska and Hawaii joined. And it turned out it was just up in the hills just above here. This was the closest community to it, so they called this geographic center. And although it was 3 or 4 miles up in the hills, actually, they put a stake up for the geographic center that just measures the mole points of including Alaska and Hawaii.
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your secret to a healthy old age?
Well, I think probably, I've always been busy. I always did things. I was doing a lot of construction work. I built 2 homes, and I was building furniture, and I always had a woodworking shop, and I always kept busy even when I was working in the plywood plant over there. I had a shop down in my home in Eugene, and I made a lot of things, furniture, and I made what they call shadow boxes. They were to hang on the wall, and they were a framework with a recess inside, and a frame around and hang on the wall. That was just part of it. And I built, after I got over here, I had a woodworking shop out here. I had I still got it out there, but don't use it anymore. But I got all the thing, just all the woodworking machinery. And I built a lot of furniture and stuff. Yeah, I just kept busy building stuff.
Building stuff, and then I see you got a plate full of meat and cheese and crackers here, so you're eating healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do any hunting while you lived out here?
Oh, yeah, I did quite a bit of hunting. In those days, I did a lot of hunting, yeah. I was always deer hunting, yeah.
There are some big mule deer around
I
back
got
then.
I got a big elk up here one time. Yeah.
Do you remember that story? Do you remember the story about your elk?
Well, yeah, it was quite a story. I was usually by myself all the time. And I went up wood cutting. I had my pickup truck with me. It had a winch on the front of it. And I was just driving by, and I saw across the field, I saw this big old elk running along. I jumped out and grabbed a rifle, leveled up, and I knocked him down. Well, I didn't have anybody there to help me, but he was a big one, and I dressed him out. And I was lucky I had a winch on the pickup, so I was able to dress him out. And then I had some chain and cable, and I put a limb across a tree and hung a snatch block down and it tied it to a pickup and pulled him up in the air. And then I tied the rope off and backed my pickup underneath and let him down the pickup.
That's a pretty slick operation. Yeah. Getting him out whole and bringing him back. Yeah, right. That's the way to do it.
It was a big elk. Yeah.
What'd you shoot him with?
Oh, a 30-06.
30-06, same thing you went to war with.
Yeah. Well, we had, in the war, it was the old M1. It was a 30 caliber, but it used cartridges in the receiver, you put in there, it held eight bullets, you put in front. Yeah, the cold is M1 Garand rifle.
Yep.
They were heavy. They were about, yeah.
I bet you spent plenty of time on the parade grounds holding that thing up. And
oh, yeah, right.
Your arms are about ready to fall off.
Right. Yeah.
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 Well, what advice would you give to a 40-year-old version of yourself? I just turned 40 3 days before you turned 103. So what advice do you have for me?
Well, I think probably keeping busy is the main thing, okay? I don't just sit on. I worked for years in Georgia Pacific Springfield plywood plant. I was supervisor in charge of finishing shipping over there. And we had a supervisor there that was in charge of finishing shipping. He retired. At that time, I was loading boxcars with a jitney, a forklift, loading boxcars with plywood. And he was the supervisor in charge of finishing shipping. And so when he retired, they offered me his job, so I got a supervisor's job at Georgia Pacific. And so I was actually working at that when this property fell open. Yeah.
So work hard and do some woodworking and go elk hunting. That sounds like your advice?
Yeah, I did a lot of woodworking.
Yeah?
Yeah, I built a lot of furniture, and I got a book someplace to show the pictures of a lot of the stuff I built.
What are you working on these days? What's next for you?
What?
What are you working on these days? What's next for you?
Well, I'm just working on trying to keep surviving a few more years. Actually,
you think you're going to make
actually, what?
130?
Well, I just turned 103.
Yeah.
And, when a person gets my age, you have to be a little more careful about getting around and stuff. I got a walker there, and I don't want to, fall over and break a hip or something. my granddad had lived in Eugene, and he was around. He always worked out in the yard, helped doing watering the lawns and stuff. He was getting pretty old, and he fell one time and broke his hip. Well, he ended up in a nursing home, and he probably only lived about 2 or 3 months after that. He just passed away. But
Well, that sounds like a good excuse to not water the lawn.
that's right.
Well, you got a nice spot to hang out here, and
Yeah.
good place to.
Well, I'm
not too
fortunate. I lost my wife about 15 years ago, and we'd been married for a lot of years. We were married just as I got into service, just before I was drafted. We got married in Portland. Anyway, she passed away, and so I was living over at my kid's place in Nampa, Idaho. I had her over there because they didn't have any cardiologists over here. She had a heart problem, and she lived over there a year, and then she passed away. So I was left by myself, and so they sold their place over there and moved in with me. My daughter Rory there. Yeah.
Well, that's awfully nice of her.
Yeah, she's an RN, so she takes good care of me.
Yeah, probably doesn't take any crap off you either.
No.
Well, sir, from one Marine to another, thank you for your service, and
But thank you.
thanks for giving me a minute to interview you.
Well, I'm really fortunate that, a lot of people get my age over 100, and they kind of lose their ability to remember things and stuff. But I'm pretty sure I remember back in my childhood days and stuff even, so, and everything has gone on in my life, so
Yeah.
I got a lot to remember about.
And tell the people your name and rank when you got out.
I was a buck sergeant in the Marine Corps, Robert Bennett.
Sergeant Robert Bennett, 103 years old, going strong. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their busy lives to write a review for the show and share it with their friends. I'm extremely proud of how intelligent, engaged, and adventurous this audience is. Original music for the Six Ranch podcast is written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the Six Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Harlander. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week. You've got 20 acres, and your security camera can see about 50 feet from your Wi-Fi router. Your gate, your barn, your equipment, all the places you actually need to monitor, they're exactly where your Wi-Fi doesn't reach. That's where Defend security cameras make a lot of sense. They work on cellular, just like your phone. But here's what's clever. They've got an embedded SIM card that automatically connects to the best network in your area. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. It finds whatever's strongest. No choosing providers, no contracts, no hassle. I'm using Defend cameras at my place. You mount it, open the Defend app on your phone, and you're done. 10 minutes. Clear footage, night vision, instant alerts, and here's something you need to know. Defend doesn't sell your data. Not to China, not to tech companies, not to anyone. They work for you, period. Defend your place.